Third down and 20.
Moving on to running backs now. I'll just knock out all these guys right away. We've got Joe Mixon, running back 16. Chris Evans, the rookie, backup running back 62. Samaj Priyan, running back 88. Trevion Williams, running back 90. And Puka Williams, not ranked on Keep Trade Cut. And then the Ravens, you've got J.K. Dobbins, running back 12. Gus Edwards, running back 37. Justice Hill, running back 86. The Browns have Nick Chubb, running back 7, Kareem Hunt, running back 23, Dearness Johnson, not ranked, and Demetric Felton, the rookie, not ranked. And then the Steelers have Najee Harris, running back 9, Benny Snell Jr., running back 83, Anthony McFarland, running back 68, and Kalen Ballage, who's not ranked. Those are all the running backs. I think the best place to start probably is we'll keep with the Steelers first, I think, and Najee Harris, the rookie. He was actually, Lounis in my eyes, most overrated at running back 9. We all across the board do say he's overrated. It's just Lounis and I say he's the most overrated. I guess I could.
Out of that group.
Yeah. If
I'll make my comment quick first so you can go in, JT. Yep. I still do think he'll have a very productive rookie year. He's not my favorite rookie running back in this class. We think we're all like Javonte more. But I do think he'll have the most productive rookie season out of all the backs just because of the amount of touches he's going to get. He's going to get a shit ton of touches in Pittsburgh. And I think he'll have a really good season. It's just RB9 in Dynasty still really high. If you're throwing in Javonte, a lot of those guys from last year who are now entering their second year, guys like Akers, Dobbins, Swift, Gibson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and obviously Taylor. Like also with the top guys, you got Saquon back, CMC back. RB9 is just a little bit too high, and that was probably the one I thought the most, which was overranked because I'm fine with Nick Chubb's ranking and I'm fine with Mixon's and Dobbins.
Yeah, my thing on Najee, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like comparing him as a prospect, like I think the reason he's so high is because he's a rookie, and people are like, "Oh, rookie running back, like you're going to get him for a few years," but like. He's the same age as basically all of the 2020 running backs. Like he's not younger than most of them. He's the same age or even older. So then, when they're talking about prospects too, right? Najee Harris was not a better prospect than DeAndre Swift or J.K. Dobbins. You could argue CEH, but I'd still rather have CEH over Najee Harris. There's like a lot of those 2020 running backs I'd still rather have over Najee Harris. And then a lot of the older running backs I still think do have a couple more years in them. I would also rather have than Najee Harris, like Aaron Jones, like Joe Mixon, who we'll get to in a little bit, Austin Eckler, Miles Sanders. Like there's a lot of running backs I'd rather have than Najee Harris because I just don't think Najee Harris is it. I don't think Najee Harris is good. I've said he's a bust before. He's like in my second round. I have a second round grade for him for rookie drafts. I'm not a Najee Harris guy. Yeah, I see you giving me that, but
no, hold on. The first one he gave you that look for was Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm with JT. I think I'd rather have Clyde.
It's close.
No. Just no.
What have you seen from Najee Harris that makes you think he's better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I mean, the dude hasn't played an NFL game, but he was one of the most productive running backs in all of college football.
And that's easy when you're behind the Alabama offensive line. Trent Richardson was one of the most
hear me out. You say he's the same age as the 2020 running backs, which I agree with. That's a fact. But
he's the same age as Ronald Jones.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. But anyways, so just compare him to the 2020 running backs then, right? If he comes in and puts up the same season that DeAndre Swift has, heading into next year, who's the higher rated running back? If they're the same age in it, why?
If he has the same rookie season as DeAndre Swift?
No. Same as DeAndre. If he just basically comes in and produces like a second year running back, then
he's not going to. That's my thing. He's not going to produce like a second year running back.
Okay, that's why it's a hypothetical, JT.
Okay, no, but Jake, if your hypothetical happens, then Najee would be ahead.
But it's not going to. But yeah, if it does happen, sure.
Because I think there's a very good chance Najee Harris has a better season than DeAndre Swift. A very good chance.
DeAndre Swift can be a running back. DeAndre Swift, I mean, I know this is completely biased.
The Steelers' offense will be better than the Detroit offense. There is no doubt.
Sure, that's fine. That's fine.
And we'll have more opportunities to score, and therefore
most offenses were better. Most offenses were better than the Jaguars. James Robinson was still running back 5, 3. He was up there. He was undrafted. Like I get tired of this. It's not really though. Yeah, there's so many running backs on bad teams that perform. And when you have someone that's going to be like second on their team in targets in DeAndre Swift, like how are you going to tell me that Najee Harris is going to outproduce DeAndre Swift in PPR? He's just not. It's not going to happen.
Najee Harris was a good receiver.
Yeah, Najee Harris.
All right. Well, I've heard enough of this. I've heard enough of these narratives and this bull crap. Let's get into the guy that just did a whole analysis on this exact topic. This exact freaking topic. So I got a few things I want to say because after watching a lot of film and really diving into the past of Matt Canada, I heavily disagree with the narrative that Najee Harris is going to get fed like one of the premier running backs in the NFL. And here is why. Lounis, how much of a workload do you expect Najee Harris to get? Name a running back that you think his workload will be similar to.
I'm trying to think in general. I was thinking around 280, 300 touches.
Okay. I am projecting him in 17 games to get about 258 touches, which would be like 245.
Oh yeah, I forgot it's 17 games. Then yeah, definitely 300 touches.
300 yeah, so like I project his workload to be more similar from a pure running perspective to that of David Montgomery than that of prime Le'Veon Bell or Derrick Henry or whoever one of these other running backs. But the X factor is actually something that Jake said. Najee Harris as a receiver brings something to the table that basically no other running back brings to the table. And that's that he is a legitimate vertical threat as a running back. We have not seen this before. And that is, at least in my opinion, the reason we saw him get picked 24. Because you could say, oh, DeAndre Swift is a great receiver. DeAndre Swift is not a threat vertically. He cannot win a 50-50 ball.
I think who are some receivers I've seen go running back study? I saw Miles Sanders do a couple times this rookie year. I think
Miles Sanders he's one of the few that has that type of potential. But I think it's more long speed than anything.
You could talk about it a bunch of times. We've seen Kareem Hunt do it. We've seen Saquon do it as well. But
personally, I think Trey Sermon could do it out of this rookie class.
Sermon vertical.
What's that face, Frank?
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt, Sermon. I think that Kareem Hunt, listen, I think that
lined up as a slot receiver a lot of the time.
But Le'Veon Bell was a slot receiver. That doesn't mean that I'm going to put Le'Veon Bell one-on-one against a halfway decent corner and throw a 50-50 fade. I think that Najee Harris is a dude that, if you have a linebacker on him on an island, not only is it a bad matchup, it's a terrible matchup. And you can extend that into a lot of the current NFL corners, in my opinion, just because Najee Harris is like a tight end. You know, he's a big-ass dude, and he has insane body control better than a lot of current receivers in the NFL do, which is the big X factor. With that being said, really quickly, I don't think he's going to be one of these Alvin Kamara-like receivers, though. He's not going to be a guy that gets 10 targets a game. At least I don't think.
No.
The thing is,
I don't think that either, but he is still a good wide receiver.
Is that the targets that he does get are going to be very good. I don't know what the right word for it is,
efficient,
but high value targets. He's going to get, especially in this Matt Canada offense where guys are going left, right, and freaking center. Guys are going all over the place. He's going to get vertical plays, right? Rails, wheels, just run it down the field. Let me throw it up one-on-one, and a whole lot of red zone targets, which that is what's going to carry Najee Harris. I actually think that Najee Harris isn't as bad as what you guys are saying. It's just RB9 is tough. RB9 is a really tough price to buy him at.
Also, though, unfortunately for Najee Harris, he's the fourth wide receiver on the team, just automatically. You've got Chase Claypool, Juju, and Deontay there.
It's different because he's gonna be on the field. He's gonna be running routes out of the backfield.
Yeah, but he's not.
They're gonna motion him out of the backfield with those receivers still on the field. It doesn't I understand what you're saying but when he runs a route, he's gonna be higher than the fourth progression on a lot of these plays that are gonna be run here.
Also, if you look at Matt Canada's track record, he has unbelievably good success with running backs, and Najee Harris might be the most talented. Monty Ball, James White, Melvin Gordon. That offense at Wisconsin was ridiculous. They put over 3,000 rushing yards. He had great success with James Conner in Pittsburgh, like the college Pittsburgh. He had over 1,000 yards, five yards a carry, 16 touchdowns. Darius Geis and Darrell Williams at LSU. Darius Geis, 1,200 yards, over 10 touchdowns. Anthony McFarland, 1,000 yards. Like everywhere this guy goes, his running backs produce.
If you guys want to hear a funny stat, it's actually I was listening to Pardon My Take, and they were talking about the Wisconsin versus Nebraska game in 2014, where there was like Melvin Gordon and crew, and it was like Melvin Gordon rushed for over 400 yards against Nebraska, and then like in the following year, it was like Melvin Gordon had over 200, James White had over 200, and what's his name, Monty Ball had like over 200 or something.
Dude, in that game I was watching, Nebraska against Wisconsin, the Big 12 championship, Melvin Gordon destroyed them on jet sweeps. His first 2 carries were both jet sweeps. He took them both to the house, like 60+ yard touchdowns.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon was ridiculous in college.
I don't know how.
And they had James White and Monty Ball.
But kind of going back to the original point, I do agree with you that Najee Harris will be extremely productive in the offense. And I actually, to give the offense kind of more credit, and this also might be a lack of faith in his backups, even though I actually don't hate Benny Snell. I think he's a decent backup. I just think, I don't know, I think they're going to want to put less pressure on Big Ben to throw 40+ times every single game and just kind of feed this new running back. They just spent a first-round pick on him. Like, how many times have we seen that first-round pick running back get just a shit ton of carries, like around 20, 22 touches every game? And that's where I think he'll be productive. And I could see him finishing in that 12, 13 range. But to say RB9 with some of the guys, especially who are entering their rookie year and still those top guys, I can't put him that high. Or entering their second year.
That's the problem, though, is that looking at the Matt Canada offense, they're still going to do all this motion and jet sweep stuff and shovel passes and crap, which, like, they will run the ball. It's just not going to be Najee Harris 25 times. At least I don't think. That's not what I'm predicting.
Here's the thing. So here's what I'll ask you. How many carries do you expect running backs not named Najee Harris to get per game?
Hold on. I got to do some math on this calculator really quickly.
I like that you have a calculator right there to do this math.
No, it's my phone. Okay, let me see.
Professional podcast there.
So let's just say 423 is the average carries that I'm predicting they do, minus Najee's 245. So I would think somewhere between 150 to 170 carries.
So that's
out of 400 carries. So about 40% of the carries.
So that's
35%.
10 carries a game to running backs not named Najee Harris.
Well, it wouldn't just be running backs too, though. Like you could do like a sweep to Juju or something.
It would be wide receivers, other running backs, and tight ends.
Okay.
And fullbacks. All basically every other player. And then the occasional Big Ben scramble.
The Big Ben QB sneak is electric.
He's graceful when he's out on the open field.
I like Najee Harris now. Like I don't hate him. His price is high at RB9. I'm not sure I'd pay RB9 price, but I don't think it's terribly far off of his value. I think the problem with Najee Harris is that I just like Javonte Williams as a better buy for the price. I think that they're both pretty good talents. It's just there are better purchases for your money than Najee Harris, but that doesn't mean that Najee Harris is a bad buy.
I'm more with Frank on this one. I've been watching some Najee, and he's really been growing on me lately. So I do think running back 9's high, but overall not bad.
The last thing too, though, is that Ben's gonna dump the football off to him, and Najee's got good hands and he's smart. So that was one thing with Le'Veon that was always so good, is that when Ben wanted to just get rid of the football, it's okay. Where's Le'Veon Bell? Let me just flip it to him. James Conner was never able to really do that. They just didn't really have the chemistry.
But before we move on, are there any other Steeler running backs that you want to own from this team? Like, are you trying to get any of these guys on your roster?
I mean,
Kalen Ballage is interesting. I know that they liked him a lot coming into the draft whenever he got drafted.
Dude, It's Balaj.
I want no part of Kalen Balaj.
We've seen this before.
I don't think there's too much to discuss after.
Yeah, he was not
I think
great.
Benny Snell is the main hand. Who would you have? Okay, I guess the only real question regarding Steelers running backs not named Najee is who do you think's a better handcuff to have between McFarland and Benny Snell?
McFarland.
You think McFarland? Frank, who do you think? I kind of lean Snell, but Jake knows McFarland better than I do.
McFarland's good, dude. He's really fucking good. I mean,
I think you guys are fundamentally misunderstanding how the Steelers work, though. This is a team that, like, yeah, you can scoff at Kalen Balaj all you want, but if they liked him coming out of the draft and they target him in free agency, like, he could have a role. If there's a team that's going to turn some guy's career around, it'd be Pittsburgh. You know, like, if you look at every player that leaves Pittsburgh, they die.
They went out and drafted McFarland and Snell, both with pretty high draft capital. I think it was 3rd round or 4th round.
Yeah.
So
I think McFarland would be interesting, though, just because he also was the running back under Canada. And I think if there's going to be someone because I think the Steelers are going to do more 22 personnel than people expect. 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. That means that McFarland could definitely be one of those dudes that's getting end arounds. Getting those jet sweeps and crap and little bullshit in the Matt Canada offense. I guess the other one is Derek Watt, but you're not going to roster him.
Yeah.
All right, moving on then. We were just talking about Najee being our most overrated. How about our most underrated? Basically across the board, I was a little different. But Nick Chubb, as running back 7, we're saying most underrated. At least Frank is saying that, Lounis is saying that, Jake's saying he's confident that he'll maintain his value at running back 7. So we're basically all saying Nick Chubb underrated.
There's a chance Nick Chubb. I'd be willing to bet on Nick Chubb be finishing in the top 4 running backs next year.
I mean, top 4 is kind of I think almost
because I think you're going to see McCaffrey. I think you'll see it's going to come down to the wire. Obviously, if some guys miss a game or two. But I think in terms of production, he's going to be up there in that tier with Derrick Henry, Cook, Kamara, Saquon, McCaffrey. I think he's like right in that discussion for next season.
Yeah, the other thing with Chubb too, though, is that he has like the Browns do a good job with Hunt and Chubb like load managing them to a certain extent. On top of that, Nick Chubb, I truly do believe has Hall of Fame level talent. So I think those 2 factors combined, yeah, Nick Chubb might not be the overall RB1 because he's not getting 400 touches, but you know, he's still young, and I think that he'll have more longevity than your average running back would.
That's fair. I also, he's probably the one that's like a running back that I think is 25 or older that I still would have on my team 4 years from now. Just theoretically speaking, and still producing in kind of like a high fashion. So yeah, I don't know. Is there anything negative we have to say about Nick Chubb? Is there anything
I think we all love Nick. I think we all love Nick Chubb.
There's only one of him.
We only have one. Well, all right. Moving on though from Nick Chubb and staying with the Browns.
The Browns backup running back now.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt.
Jake is gonna freaking go crazy.
I didn't put B there. I didn't put B there.
I did. I put B there.
Look at that guy.
Kareem Hunt. Backup tone for me. He's my backup. Obviously. Say, Jake. You're covering your mouth. What do you want to say?
He's not a goddamn backup.
I feel like this is like that scene from Rick and Morty when I forget who was it. It was like the you know that evil Morty where it's just like, oh, we're just sidekicks. And then that really pisses off like Rick, the actual Rick's Morty. Like that's JT to Jake right now. Like Kareem Hunt, he's just a backup. Like
I know exactly what you're talking about, Frig.
Kareem Hunt,
sidekick.
Kareem
Hunt
you're
just a sidekick. He's just a sidekick.
Kareem Hunt didn't have that many more carries than Adrian Pearson. How's that make you feel, Jake? Last year, Kareem Hunt, who started
just
4
a
games,
sidekick, Jake. He's just a
started
sidekick.
4 games, did not have that many more carries than Adrian Pearson. So tell me how he's not backup.
My guy. First off, Adrian Peterson started games last year. Whatever.
Not 4.
But, what?
He didn't start 4 games like Kareem Hunt did.
Whatever. Kareem Hunt outtouched him significantly. Kareem Hunt had so many receptions last year, and you know that. So don't even start me with this, just carries bullshit. Kareem Hunt is not a backup. Frank alluded to this earlier. Frank said they do a good job, quote-unquote, load managing, which means if you actually watch the Browns games down the stretch when they were winning football games, they gave Chubb his drives, and they gave Hunt his drives. And they were both very productive on all of them. I love both of these guys, and I will continue to love both of these guys. He's not a backup. He's the 1A, and that is what it is.
When the game starts, who's the running back on the field?
Sometimes it's Kareem Hunt. It really depends on the game plan, JT.
No, it's Nick Chubb.
You got to watch the games more then.
I watch the games. I
don't think you pay attention then.
It's Nick Chubb.
It's not always Nick Chubb. It's not.
Nick Chubb.
Anyone who's watching this, let us know in the comments what running back ranking you think Kareem Hunt finishes at this year. This has been an ongoing debate.
Nick Chubb missed 4 games and still outcarried Kareem Hunt. So how are you telling me that Kareem Hunt's getting more? Like, that's just not true.
Look at total touches, JT.
Well, no, Nick Chubb's going to get
touches.
Nick Chubb's going to have more total touches than Hunt. I just think Hunt's still going to get his own and still be productive, but it's not going to be more than Chubb.
I'm not saying Hunt is better than Chubb. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying he's better than a lot of starting running backs in the league. He's the 1A, and they both get their own drives. That's what happens here. They don't even, like, when they give him a drive, he gets the whole drive. They don't take him out. They give him a full drive.
Yeah, if you guys are watching the stream, this is Jake. This is Jake right here. Call me a sidekick one more time.
I'm not even watching our own stream, so I don't know what you're putting up there, but
that's very funny.
Is it the Morty?
Call me a sidekick one more time. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Well, how do you guys feel about Demetric Felton? That's the last thing I'll say about the Browns.
Depends on what his price is.
I mean, he's not ranked, so I think he's underrated.
Yeah, so, I mean, if he's not ranked, that's what.
The thing is, though, after this year, isn't like Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, aren't they both nearing the end of their current contracts? Like, isn't Kareem Hunt a free agent next season, and then Nick Chubb a season or two from now?
Give me 1 second.
I thought they signed at least Hunt. I thought signed a 2-year extension.
Yeah, but I don't know when that started.
I don't know, but I was coming from the perspective that if one of these running backs are leaving relatively soon, Demetric Felton brings a nice, interesting little skill set.
Kareem Hunt has this year and then next year, and then he's an unrestricted free agent. And then Nick Chubb.
The thing is, though, is that they're going to have to pay Baker, right? And then they're going to have to also pay Chubb.
They're only going to keep one of them in the long term, and the other will be a starter somewhere else.
Chubb's a free agent after this year.
Well, see, that's the thing is Kareem Hunt, does he have an out in his contract that's like he might just end up being a cap casualty because they're going to probably pay Baker Mayfield as well. At least we're assuming, which is going to eat up a nice, sizable chunk of cap space.
See, this is the big reason why people thought they were going to trade Odell too. There's a few players they can trade. They still have Landry and Odell under pretty big contracts, so I'm going to be surprised if one of them got moved.
There's a good shot, now that you pointed it out, that that Hunt is a cap casualty because he has 0 dead cap next year. So
yeah,
he'll get picked up. He'll be a starter somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not saying that as a detriment of Hunt. That might actually be better. But Demetric Felton, though, could take in that role. Just because I think that he does provide an interesting skill set that doesn't really show up when you look at him as like his prospect profile. He tested terribly. But as a number 2 guy, he could be interesting in the future. I'm just not sure he's going to really have any role this year.
All right, let's move on. We're starting to get close on time here. J.K. Dobbins and the Ravens, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Basically, all of us except Jake said that J.K. Dobbins was the most underrated, and I said that I was the most confident that he would be the one to maintain his value. Jake Jake said he was overrated, and he was the most overrated player here. Frank, can you do me a favor, please? In your Jake impression, what does Jake say we should do to all Ravens?
Sell all Ravens! Sell all Ravens!
Thanks, I just wanted that.
If you actually listen back, the one Raven I say not to sell is J.K. Dobbins.
Well, then why is he the most overrated?
Because he's not going to finish running back 1. So that's why. He's not going to finish a running back 1.
I think he can.
Here's the debate.
I just don't think he will.
Here's where Jake's thing could be right, but he's still RB12. He could not finish RB12 next season, but he's still a top 12 dynasty running back.
Yeah, I mean, the people above him currently that are older are it's like Derrick Henry and like Nick Chubb, Cook, and Kamara.
Because I could easily see Dobbins like for next season individual ranking being like RB 14 or 15. But he's still in my top 12 running backs of who I'd want in a startup dynasty draft.
Yeah, that's Jake this episode, for those watching on YouTube.
I don't know what he put up there.
I can't see either, Jake. They're in that middle.
Yeah, I want to say something with J.K. Dobbins, though, because J.K. Dobbins, this first off, the Ravens are the best rushing football team in the NFL.
You just have the Morty over me the whole time?
Yeah. Not the whole time, just for a little bit. Yeah, this is the best rushing football team in the NFL. J.K. Dobbins, the reason I think he slid in the draft and is the reason I had a second-round grade on him coming out, even though I liked him as a pure runner, he sucked ass as a receiver. I think he has the potential to improve, and apparently he's working on it, but he did suck ass as a receiver in college. So
we did see that camp report, how Harbaugh wants to get Dobbins through.
Yeah, but that's every running back, though. Yeah. It's every single running back ever.
Josh Jacobs was supposed to see a huge increase in receiving, and I don't think he did at all.
But the thing is that as a red zone threat, they're going to run J.K. Dobbins. They're going to find creative ways to get the ball in his hands without him having to actually catch it. I love Dobbins. Even as a Steelers fan, he's an unbelievably talented pure runner.
I agree. I just don't think there's enough touches to go around in that offense. Like I said, moving on to, I think this is a good transition to a guy that I wanted to touch about personally was Gus Edwards, who just signed another contract extension. He's the guy that I listed as the most underrated running back in this division. He's the backup I want to own in this division. I think he's a guy that will get his own probably 7 to 10, 11 touches a game by himself to go along with Lamar rushing the ball and Dobbins rushing the ball. So overall, I think you're going to get games where, Lamar gets his, or you can get other games where it's Dobbins and other games where it's Edwards. So I just think all these guys in terms of rushing capabilities outside of Lamar, because he's always going to get his, in terms of Dobbins and Edwards, I think you're going to go see some games where they're very inconsistent. So that's just my opinion on there, just because I think it's going to be hard for them both, along with Lamar, to all be consistent every single game in and game out.
Yeah,
that's right. It's tough to say because Dobbins is such a pure runner, but that is a good point, Jake. Where it's like, how many carries a game is this offense going to have to distribute to them? Because Gus is going to get, like you said, around maybe like 8 carries. I think the bigger fear with Gus is he's pretty good at the goal line. Does he get some of those goal line touches?
Yep, I think he's the better goal line back.
But last year, J.K. Dobbins was the guy who was scoring all the touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
He was almost guaranteed a touchdown a week.
Dobbins and Swift were like 2 of the most efficient guys on the goal
and that's
line.
the other thing, too, is that the Ravens' rushing offense is insanely efficient. So for the Ravens, as a running back, especially with Lamar Jackson, getting 15 carries is similar to getting 20 carries if you're on the Jets last year, maybe even freaking 50. Like, you're not doing anything on the Jets. All right, speaking of the Jets, let's move into the worst team in this division.
Oh my God. So mean. All right, well, Bengals, Joe Mixon, he's probably the one we coined the phrase Joe Mixon paradox early in this podcast.
We still have that bet. We still have that bet with me and Jake about Mixon versus Miles Sanders, right?
I don't think we ever decided.
We never decided the wager, but we'll think of it soon.
Was it just that Mixon finishes higher than Sanders?
Sanders, yeah. If there's a major injury, we can call it off. But
yeah, that's definitely happening. So,
we're all kind of all over the board. I'm saying Joe Mixon's the most underrated at running back 16. Frank's saying overrated. Lounis is most confident he'll keep his value. He's just the one that everyone just doesn't know how to evaluate.
Yeah,
like
I have him. I think he'll finish next year as a high-end RB2. That's why I'm like, that seems right.
I think he's a low-end RB1, but then at that point he is going to be I think he's 25 right now, right? Maybe he's 24, but like then he'll be a little older, so then it's kind of like whatever. I don't know. I do think Joe Mixon is like he's the one that like if you were to like pick someone that's not in the top 12 running backs to finish as the RB1 overall, like Joe Mixon is up there for me as that person that would finish as the running back.
That's actually an interesting question. We should do that in the segment. Like people,
yeah, we could hold that for later.
In the top 12 in their positions, best chance to finish number one. Is that.
We have a lot of time till preseason and the regular season, so we can put that in somewhere. Do you guys have any other thoughts on this? I mean, we kind of spent a lot of time on the running backs.
Yeah, here's the problem with Joe Mixon.
Okay.
Here's the problem with Joe Mixon.
Jake's ready.
You want to know what
why me? I'm just here.
No, you're the Joe Mixon defender.
You know how like the number one indicator of success for people is where you grew up, like how affluent the area you were growing up is.
Yeah, like
that is the problem that Joe Mixon suffers from, is that he's a great talent. Honestly, you watch the Bengals games on tape, and you're like, holy crap, Joe Mixon is insane, unbelievably talented running back, better than RB16. I agree with that. But you have him on just the worst area to grow up in as a running back. You have a coaching staff that I think is just trash. I think they are I would pick them last, probably, of all the coaching staffs in the whole league.
In the whole league?
Yes,
in
the whole league, probably.
Yeah, because that's interesting. You can't include Gase anymore because he got replaced.
I mean, have you met
maybe him and like Sirianni and
Dude.
like the other dudes that are just completely unproven? It's like those are the ones.
Dude.
Maybe Vic Fangio, if we're going from a fantasy perspective.
Matt Nagy, anyone? The Bears suck.
Matt Nagy, listen, David Montgomery was like RB4 or 5 last year, so you can crap at Matt Nagy all you want. He at least produced a damn good running back, and I think Joe Mixon's more talented than David Montgomery is. That's 100%. Just a testament to how bad this coaching staff is and how bad this offense has been, is that they have wasted Joe Mixon's career. And we can always scream talent over situation, but when your situation is taking a running back with top 10 talent and consistently keeping him out of there, why am I buying into him? The clock is ticking on Joe Mixon's career, and I don't think the Bengals are going to help him out at all ever until they actually get someone with a head on their shoulders.
That was fiery. Kind of like that. Anyone else?
Joe Mixon paradox, overrated. Staying away.
Like, damn, why do Bengals fans hate me, man?
The other thing too, though, is that Joe Mixon, he's RB16. You have to pay top 10 around RB. You have to pay like RB13 price.
Well, that's where the Joe Mixon paradox comes in. That's the Joe Mixon paradox.
You know, it's all beginning of the season, beginning of the offseason, maybe he was a good buy, but now his ADP is rising. Everyone's like, oh, well, Joe Mixon's underrated. It's like his ADP goes with the weather. Once the weather gets cold and football season actually starts getting played, the Bengals screw him up or he gets hurt. And he's like, okay, well, it's Joe Mixon. And then all of a sudden you look at the tape and you're like, holy crap, this is a good guy. The Bengals, they may not be a terrible team this year. He's going to be, and then all of a sudden he's going to do Joe Mixon paradox.